Hi everybody, this is Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet, where you'll find anything and everything that has to do with yarn and crochet. So if you're new, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you look below in the description box, the first thing you'll see is a link to a playlist, and it'll take you to all my hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crochet tutorials, all free for you to enjoy. I have anything that you could ever want to make and multiples of them. And to my returning friends, thank you for joining me again. Please don't forget, everybody, don't forget to hit that like button if you do enjoy this video. So today I'm going to do a stitch tutorial for you. Look at that pretty one. Isn't this beautiful? Now this is called the mixed cluster stitch, and it is very easy to do. It's a 2-row repeat. If you know the basic stitches, you'll be able to do this. I'm going to show you how to work it back and forth like this, so you can make a scarf or a hat, or a scarf or a blanket or a top, or wash rack, whatever you want to make out of it. I actually have a hat tutorial on my channel, which I will link the tutorial below, that will show you how to make a hat, and it will also teach you how to crochet in the round versus back and forth. So for this tutorial though, we're going to do the back and forth method. Look for the hat below, which will teach you how to crochet into the round. Okay, you guys ready to get started? Let's do it. Alright, don't worry, if you're a beginner, as long as you know the basic stitches, you got this. You can make anything you want to make with that. Okay, for the yarn I'm using is Ice Yarns Picasso. It is a medium weight number 4 acrylic polyester blend, and it's a rainbow color. I'm not certain which one it is, but this is what it looks like. And then for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Now this stitch is done in any even number of stitches. So what you want to do is you want to start with a slip knot on your hook, and just like this. Now your beginning chain you just chain an even number of stitches, however long or wide that you want your project to be. It just needs to be an even number. So whether it be a scarf, you might want to do shorter, well, a little bit longer than that, I'm certain, or a big long blanket, you make a big long chain. Just make sure your chain is an even number. Alright, once you get your chain, as long as you want it to be, remember, in an even number of stitches, we'll go ahead and start row 1. So row 1, we're going to do a single crochet in the second stitch from our hook. So we never count the one that's on our hook. 1, 2, go ahead and do a single crochet into that second stitch, just like that. And then we're going to work across, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch of the chain until we get to the end of the row. Just like this. So row 1 is 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row, and I'll meet back up with you there. Alright, so I've made it to the end of row 1, and now we're going to start row 2. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeat rows for this stitch. So for row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. So that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It doesn't count as anything. So we can just pretend like it's not even there. So we're going to work right here into this very first stitch, and we're going to work a half double crochet. That's where we yarn over, go into that very first stitch, draw up a loop. You got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. So that is our half double. Now we're going to start the repeat of the row. We're going to be working mixed cluster stitches, and I'm going to show you how those are done. They're very easy to do. So we are going to yarn over, and we're going to go back into the stitch that we just worked into, and we're going to draw up a loop. And you have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. And now we're going to skip 1 stitch, and we're going to yarn over. Remember, skip 1 and go into the next and draw up a loop. You see you have 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over again and go back into that same stitch and draw up a loop. And now you will have 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through all 6 loops and chain 1. And that is a mixed cluster stitch. So let's go ahead and do it again. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go back into the same stitch that we just finished that last stitch into. Draw up a loop, and we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and skip 1 stitch and go into the next. And we're going to draw up a loop, and you see we'll have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again and go back into that same stitch and draw up a loop, and we'll have 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. So there we did another mixed cluster. Let me go ahead and do it again. We're going to yarn over and go back into the same stitch that we just worked in. Draw up a loop. 3 loops are on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and skip 1 stitch and into the next one. Go into it and draw up a loop. We have 4 loops. We're going to yarn over again and go into that same stitch. Draw up a loop. Now we have 6 loops. Yarn over and go through all 6 and chain 1. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to the last stitch of our row. Skip 1 and then the next one. Just like that. So I'm going to continue repeating this until I make it near the end of my row, and I'll meet back up with you there. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 2, and I just did a mixed cluster, and I chained 1, and I have 2 stitches that remain. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to end row 2. So we're going to go ahead and yarn over and go back into that same stitch that we just did our last stitch in, just like before. Draw up a loop, and we got our 3 loops. Yarn over and go through the first 2. And then we're going to skip 1 and we're going to go into the last one, and we're just going to finish out a complete cluster stitch. So go into it, draw up a loop, and then yarn over and again draw up a loop. So we just did, just like we did the normal clusters, we got 6 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through all 6 loops, but at this very last one, you do not chain 1, okay? You just go ahead and yarn over and go into the same stitch and do a half double crochet. So back into that same stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So remember, we do not chain 1 on that last one. And that's how you end row 2. So let's go ahead and start row 3, which is the final row of the repeat row of the pattern. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. What we're going to do is be putting a single crochet into every stitch across. So we're going to do a single crochet into that first stitch, which was the half double crochet from the previous row. And then we do one on top of every mixed cluster and the chain space, which kind of looks like that right there. Don't go into this big gap. Go into the little one right here and single crochet. And then on top of the cluster, which is right here, if you look you could see it. And then the chain 1 space, remember, don't go into this spot, we go into this tiny little spot here. And we're going to work across, putting a single crochet on top of in every stitch, every mixed cluster and every chain 1 stitch until we get to the end of the row. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 3. And you should have the same number of stitches on row 3 as you did on row 1. So every time you do a single crochet row, you'll have the same number of stitches that you did on the previous single crochet row. That way you know that you have the correct amount of stitches. So now we're just going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3. So we'll go ahead and repeat row 2 again. I'll do it real quick. Here we're going to chain 1 and turn. So I'm on row 4, but we're just going to repeat this row again. So we're going to go ahead and half double crochet into the very first stitch. And then we will start our mixed cluster stitch. And we're going to start by putting it into the same stitch that we just worked in. We yarn over, go into it, drop a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through the first 2. And then you yarn over and skip 1 stitch and go into the next. Draw up a loop. Got 4 loops. Yarn over again, go into that same stitch. Draw up a loop. You got 6 loops. Yarn over and go through all 6. And chain 1 and repeat. Yarn over and go into that same stitch that we just worked in. Draw up a loop, 3 loops. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, skip 1 stitch, go into the next, draw up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through all 6, chain 1 and repeat. So go ahead and repeat this, and I'll meet back up with you at the end, and I'll show you how to end row 2 one more time. Alright, I'm coming to the end here, and I'm going to show you how to end this row one more time. So we have 2 stitches that remain. So we're going to go ahead and do our mixed cluster like normal. So we yarn over and go back into that same stitch. Drop a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2. Yarn over and we skip 1, and we're going to go into the last stitch. Drop a loop, 4 loops, yarn over again. Go in, drop a loop, 6 loops, yarn over and go through all 6. Now remember, this time at the end we do not chain 1. We just go ahead and yarn over and do a half double crochet into the exact same stitch that we just ended in. So go right into it, drop a loop, and half double. You got 3 loops, yarn over and go through all 3, just like that. And that's how you end row 2. And again, we just repeat row 3 by chaining 1 and turn and doing a single crochet and every stitch across. So that's it. We're just going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3 until you get to your desired size. And this is what it starts to look like. It's very, very beautiful. You know, it's probably one of my top 10 favorite stitches. I think it's gorgeous. There's so much you can do with it. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope that you were able to follow along okay. If you make whatever you make out of this, you can always show me a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page or on my Instagram. I'll put links to both of those below in the description box. And remember, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. I'll see you guys on my next video, okay? Bye guys. Take care.